You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 164.
So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us.
Welcome back to another episode of the So Now What podcast. I'm so grateful to spend this time with you today. Before we dive in, I want to share a few special events that are coming up. If you have been wanting to meet in person or connect more deeply with the message that I talk about creating a life that you love, even though you didn't have the children that you dreamed of, I'm going to share these with you, and I hope I'll see you there. The first one is on April 28th, 2025 at 11:30 a.m. I will be speaking at Indiana University Northwest campus in Gary, Indiana. The title of my presentation is Infertility, Identity, and the Fight to be Seen. So Now What? It is open to the public, and we will be exploring what it means to live fully, even when life did not go as you planned. On May 1st at 6:30 p.m., I will be doing a book reading at City Lit Books in Logan Square. That's right on Kedzie Avenue for a reading and book signing. If you've been wanting to hear more from me about So Now What in person, or you just want to be surrounded by people who get it, please come join me. One of the most important things that I have found is when we meet in person, beautiful magic happens. So if you've been thinking about buying a book, listening to me, getting a vibe for who I am as a person in person, I invite you to come. It is free from 6:30 to 8 at City Lit Books. And of course, on May 10th, this is for anyone in Chicago, outside of Chicago, who is wanting to feel connection and unity around a time that feels really hard, maybe questions what your future is going to look like without kids. And that is the 4th annual Others Day Brunch right here in Chicago. If you find Mother's Day complicated, whether you're childless by choice or not by choice, whether you've lost your mom, whether you have a complicated relationship with your mom or a mother figure, you can get your ticket at lanamanikowski.com/Others Day. And I hope I see you there because it truly is one of the most beautiful events that I have witnessed, that I have been part of creating. And it only is possible if you show up and you are part of it. So I hope that no matter where you are, you will think about coming in and celebrating with us at the 4th annual Others Day Brunch. All right, so now I want to talk about something that so many of us carry if you're childless after infertility. Something that I hear a lot and something that I believed for a long time is that you can't really feel better until you're fully healed. That feeling of being proud of yourself means that you've moved on. And that once you hit a certain milestone, maybe a certain number of months without crying or being affected by a baby interaction or walking down the aisles of Target and passing the stroller aisle, that finally, if you don't wince, you don't flinch, you don't feel sadness, that all of a sudden you're healed. Maybe it's being able to attend a baby shower without crumbling. Then, if you do that, you can see yourself as graduated, you've made it. But here's the truth, there might not ever be a finish line. And I think a lot of people are really perplexed by that because we have a society that tells us that you've got to get to this finish line before you can celebrate. But what if we're always in the process of becoming? What if being childless after infertility means that your growth will look different than anyone else's? And to me, that is powerful. You don't have to be fully healed in the eyes of somebody else in order to be proud of yourself. You don't have to wait for the sadness to disappear before you let yourself feel joy again. The idea of healing is this endpoint you reach. It's something that we've been sold, in my opinion. But what I've learned and what I live is that healing is not linear. Some days you feel strong, you feel grounded, you feel okay. And the next, something cracks you wide open again. But those cracks don't mean that you're broken. They just mean that you're alive. For so long, I told myself that as long as I felt an emotion and as long as there was something in this journey that I was going through to feel connected to myself without the children that I thought I would have, I never had to have a moment of weakness again. But you've been through something that deserves space. You deserve reverence. But that doesn't mean you can't also feel pride. What I see so often is this pressure to only celebrate when you win. We celebrate a birth, we celebrate an adoption, we celebrate milestones that are easily understood and validated by the world. What if deciding to imagine a new future is something that you can feel proud of, even if that future still feels a little bit blurry to you? We miss so many moments of growth because we have decided that somebody else has to see the growth in us in order for us to celebrate. And I want to offer you an opportunity to not wait or to not expect that somebody has to celebrate you before you celebrate you. It's just showing up for yourself in quiet, consistent ways. To me, those are the things that bring the biggest moments of aha in this journey of creating a life you love, even though you didn't have the children that you dreamed of. When I learned that you don't have to be healed to be proud of yourself, it was just this freedom. It was this weight that dropped off of me because I could still be a work in progress and still celebrate me. That's the part of life I think we don't have offered to us because we think that we have to wait to feel good about ourselves until the rest of the world sees us in a light that they want to see us in. And when we decide that it is okay to celebrate, regardless of whether somebody else sees it of worth to celebrate, then the celebrations never have to end. That was something that I learned way too late in this game. I felt like I had to be the perfect picture of healing and being healed in order to look at myself as somebody who is ready to move on in a life without children and feel connected to a life without children. I wrote about that all in my new book called So Now What? And I'm going to read a portion of chapter 11 for you today. And maybe it'll give you some opportunity to not only understand what I'm writing about in my book, why it was number one bestseller in both the fertility and infertility categories for 6 days straight, but so you can see how this book can help you and how I wrote it in a way that might be practical. So let me read this for you from chapter 11. For a long time, being a mother was a huge part of the picture that made up my would be adult life. When I found out that was not an option anymore, I was not only heartbroken, I was lost. This was a dream, yes, but it was also a goal, the next milestone in my life journey. Without that beckoning me to move forward, what could I look toward? For a long time, there was nothing to fill that void. There was no substitute for motherhood, and I made the mistake of believing that nothing could hold that amount of meaning for me. With that mentality, there was nothing to look forward to. I'm writing this during spring, a time in the Midwest that is full of bright new beginnings. The days are getting longer, birds are singing, and there are buds on the trees. I've spent months living through a dark winter, surrounded by brown grass and barren branches. But overnight, something changed, and new life and purpose is springing up literally all around me. It's a rebirth for nature, and it's a wonderful time to talk about recreating and reinventing ourselves as women without children. Reinventing yourself doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean there's a past behind you that carries shame or that you're trying to cover up who you actually are becoming as someone new. As humans, we have this incredible ability and opportunity to rewrite our lives at any time, to use our strengths to supplement our weaknesses, and to redefine who we want to be every day while looking in the mirror and asking ourselves who we want to be in the future. To reinvent yourself, you'll need to understand who you are today at this very moment. A lot of people want to set new goals before they understand why they want to achieve them, which is a critical component. There's so much you have accomplished up to now. Embrace that knowledge before you let that cloud of your childlessness stop you from believing that you can figure this out. So in chapter 11, I think it was really important for us to understand that we have a say in this. I think for so long, we've been told that this is out of our control, and we think the same about our future. So I want to ask you, what about you today do you want to celebrate? Because healing isn't a destination. There's no point when you suddenly wake up and say, ta-da, great, I'm done. I'll never feel that sadness again. That's just not how it works. And if you're waiting for that moment, if you're telling yourself that you'll start living after you feel 100% okay, there's so much of life you're going to miss out on. So much beauty, so much birth and rebirth, so many opportunities to feel connected, and so many quiet wins that you achieve that deserve to be acknowledged. And because we live in this world that only celebrates when you win, when there's a baby, when there's a career movement, a wedding, a milestone that the world deems worthy of applause, it's okay to celebrate the days you get out of bed when you didn't want to. And the moment you catch yourself dreaming again, even if it's just a really small dream. And it's the moments when you realize that you don't get triggered like you used to, or the time you smiled while playing with your friend's kid, not because the pain was gone, but because you let the joy be there alongside it. Those are the moments that matter. They are the real signs of growth. But you're not constantly waiting for someone else to recognize them, because if you do, you are going to miss them. Most people don't know what it's like to be you. They don't know that internal shift that it takes to feel proud of who you are without the baby you once longed for. They don't know what it's like to rewrite your identity or to build a life from scratch that still feels beautiful, even if it doesn't include the milestones you imagined. That kind of bravery is quiet and it's deeply personal. So I want to ask you, what is one thing that you're proud of you for doing today? It could be something you did, maybe something you said, maybe a way you showed up, a thought you allowed, a dream that whispered in. Don't dismiss it. Don't wait for someone to tell you it counts. Let you be the one who recognizes it, because that's the key to thriving after infertility. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait until you're over it. You don't need to wait for everything to make sense. You're growing right this very minute, even with the grief, even with the questions, even with the ache that sometimes lingers. Growth is not about being perfect. It's about being present enough to notice who you are becoming. And if you want help figuring that out, I would love to help you. If you don't know where to begin, I would love to invite you to book a free 45-minute Thrive call with me. This is a conversation where we map out a real, tangible plan for what your next chapter can look like, because you deserve a future that feels full, even when it looks different than you thought it would. If you want to book a Thrive call, go to my show notes. You can look there. You can also go to my website, lanamanikowski.com, where you're going to find a free resource called the Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless. You can download that and it'll help you feel more steady in conversations that throw you off. When people ask how many kids you have or why you don't have kids yet. But as we wrap up today, there's one thing that I want to leave you with. Please do not let today pass you by without noticing that you've grown. You don't need to be fully healed to feel proud of yourself, and you're doing so much better than you think. I'm proud of you. I love you. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week. Hey, real quick, I just want to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called the Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/things people say.